Welcome to Season 4 of Hoda's Career Info, the program where career professionals from across the globe meet to empower you to succeed. My name is Hoda, and my guest today is Gail Kastning.
Just trying to figure out how to work. I think that that's been a huge thing over the last couple of years. Bringing a little bit of awareness to portfolio careers, I think, is important because the world of work is changing right now, and a lot of people are actually growing a portfolio career if they've already had one, or a lot of people are considering having a portfolio career if they know what it is. A portfolio career is a career of multiple income streams.
Thank you for joining me in Hoda's Career Info, your career program where guests from across the globe share career tips and personal stories to help you successfully navigate your career. Watch, listen, and learn. Remember to like, subscribe, share, and follow Hoda's Career Info on social media for more career info. More importantly, make sure you have that very important career conversation with a career professional. Our guest today is Gail Kastning, who is a Calgary-based Certified Career Strategist and owner of Purposeful Careers. Gail has been an independent worker and portfolio careerist for over 20 years. Her company, Purposeful Careers, specializes in designing career support for non-traditional workers. They have recently launched the Branch Out Workshop series. This funded career support program is for Albertans interested in exploring independent work, portfolio careers, and gig support to meet their personal, career, and financial goals. Thank you for joining me and Gail Kastning. Stay tuned as Gail introduces us to the term portfolio careerist. Welcome, Gail Kastning, to Hoda's Career Info, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Hoda.
Part of this program, Gail, as we talked about it, is sharing personal definitions of key career terms. What term would you choose to describe the work that you do, and how would you define it from your perspective?
I chose the word portfolio careerist because I think that that's a term that a lot of people don't understand what it means. And bringing a little bit of awareness to portfolio careers, I think, is important because the world of work is changing right now, and a lot of people are actually growing a portfolio career if they've already had one, or a lot of people are considering having a portfolio career if they know what it is.
Yeah. Yes, I think the idea is if you know what it is, right? So how would you define it?
Well, a portfolio career is a career of multiple income streams. So that could be income streams that are coming from employment. So it could be 2 part-time jobs or a full-time job, and then maybe some casual work on the side. It could also be a full-time job and a side hustle, or it could be multiple income streams that are coming from contracting, consulting, or freelancing. So that's another way to look at it. I've met people who are also have passive income coming into their portfolio career. So that's a new thing that a lot of people are really working hard at creating right now, especially if they're getting close to retirement. They're considering adding passive income streams. So a portfolio career is a career of multiple income streams.
And that's perfect. I have more questions. So before I jump to the next question, usually about your personal story, you might as well dig into the portfolio careerist role. You are a pioneer in this. You were a portfolio careerist way before it was promoted or it was trending. Nowadays, it is trending, and I'm very proud of you. And so from your perspective, you kind of defined it a little bit for us, but what is the difference between a portfolio careerist and an independent worker or a solopreneur? Is
Yeah,
there a difference?
yes. So that's a really good question, actually. And when I saw that question on your list of questions, I'm like, oh, thank you for asking that, because it's an area of confusion for a lot of people. So independent workers are people who are self-employed, freelancers, contractors, or consultants. And oftentimes they will have a portfolio career of multiple income streams, especially a freelancer will, because they're often working for multiple people. But in some cases, in the case of a contractor, sometimes contractors will just work for one company only, and then they don't have multiple income streams coming in. So that would be the difference. You could be an independent worker and a portfolio careerist bringing in multiple income streams, or you could be an independent worker and only work for one company and just be bringing in one income stream.
And for someone who is watching and listening, what would be the benefits of portfolio careers?
Some of the benefits are that you can augment your income. So, a lot of people don't realize that when you are income streaming, oftentimes what you're doing is you're strategizing how you can make more money with less time, especially if the purpose for you being a portfolio careerist, if one of the purposes is to improve your financial situation, that could be one of the strategies that is in play with building a portfolio career. Sometimes other people are looking at creating more flexibility in their lives. And so if they work with a portfolio career in rather than like a full-time permanent position, they can sometimes create more of a flexible schedule with a portfolio career rather than having to work the traditional 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So if that type of schedule doesn't work well for them, then they can have a portfolio career and change their schedule and maybe wrap it around very specific things that they're trying to accomplish with their scheduling. And those are two reasons why I've had a portfolio career for so long. Yeah. Another advantage is sometimes when you're moving from doing a career change and you're moving from one industry to another industry, you can do that by working part-time in the old industry and whatever occupation you were doing before, rather than full-time, and then hopping into your new industry and new occupation full-time or on contract. And so I'll see a lot of people who will do that. They'll use a portfolio career to bridge their career transition, to get their foot in the door of the new industry. And then I'm noticing a lot of entrepreneurs who are building businesses. So they'll do the same thing. So they'll have a portfolio career where they might keep their foot in the door of their day job while they build their business and start making income in their business.
Well, you provided very good examples, and I appreciate that. But can you tell us, for example, your story, how you started as a portfolio careerist?
I started when I was 18. So when I first graduated from school, I had multiple jobs. And so that was multiple income streams. And then throughout my career, I've had 4 career changes actually. And so whenever I've made a career change, I've often, like I mentioned, I've used the portfolio career strategy to move from one industry into a new industry. For the last 10 years, I've been an independent worker. So I've been a freelancer, contractor, and consultant. And I have streamed income from multiple streams of income as an independent worker. So that has been, for the last 10 years, my goal and my strategy was always wrapped around optimizing my hourly salary, or so my hourly wage, and working less. So creating more flexibility within my schedule. So that's been my strategy for the last 10 years.
Thank you for providing that. From your story, like, and from your experience so far, if someone were to want to start with this, to think about becoming a portfolio careerist, what kind of recommendations would you give?
Yeah, that's a good question. I always say probably your best bet is to keep your day job and take a side hustle. Like start with one income stream and a side hustle. And it really depends on what the person's skill sets are, what their occupation is, what industry they are in terms of whether or not they can even create a portfolio career of multiple income streams. Because in some cases, if you're working full time and permanently, I will have people say to me, well, I have a no compete clause, so I can't, go off on my own and start like a freelance side hustle because I've got a no compete clause with my company that I work for. So it really depends on what people are doing and whether or not they want to create extra income by doing the same thing, or if they want to do something like something totally different, like for example, walk dogs. Like during the day, they might be an office administrator and they decide, okay, on Fridays, I'm going to work 80% as a virtual assistant or an office administrator. And then on Fridays, I'm going to walk dogs. And they want to just start something completely different. So it really depends on what people's personal career and financial goals are. But start
Uh,
small.
yeah, I think starting small is a great tip as
Yeah.
well. I do have a question about the skills. You mentioned that you need to have specific skills.
It depends. Like I've seen people create a portfolio career from one skill, like for example, singing, where they might teach singing at a college, for example, like with Royal Conservatory or something, within a Royal Conservatory program, and then they might have students that they are coaching and singing on the side, and then they might have like a musical theater background as well, and so they might actually be directing musical theater. I actually know somebody who works like that. So from one skill, they create three different income streams. But the juggling side of it, if we look at the skills that are required in the juggling, that is something different, right? So it's kind of time management is a huge piece of this. And one of the things that I think is really a struggle right now, especially if you are a freelancer, contractor, consultant, and you're kind of working behind a desk, is managing all of the communication tools that you end up with. Like you could end up with 3 email accounts that you have to manage rather than one email account if you're a contractor, for example. Or if you're consulting and you're working with 3 different organizations. So that part can be the biggest skill adjustment, I think, is learning how to manage all of the communication.
So organization and
Yeah.
communication, I guess.
Yeah. And time management. I think that those, because when I talk to people, like, for example, the person that I just mentioned that has, is using one skill of singing, but they're a director of a musical theater group. They are, working as a teacher within a Royal Conservatory program, and then they have their own side hustle business with their own singing students. That's a lot of communication. That's again 3 areas of communication that you have to manage in addition to your own schedule. So hiring a virtual assistant might not be a bad idea, but in some cases it's not even possible because you've got, maybe the college or the university that you're working for, you've got an email account to manage there. You might have an email account to manage with your musical theater group, and then you probably have emails to manage with your students. So I'm finding that most of the complaints and the challenges are not necessarily coming from doing the 3 jobs and being present to do the 3 jobs. It's more, how am I supposed to manage all of the communication?
That's perfect. I think this clarifies things for everyone trying to think, is portfolio careerist for me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We usually advise our clients, Gail, to continually develop and step out of their comfort zone, looking for growth opportunities. What are some of the ideas and or projects that you are looking to accomplish now or in the near future?
It sort of depends, right? It depends on what people's personal career and what their financial goals are around their careers when it comes to stepping out of their comfort zones. Now, I think a lot of us have been over the last 3 years, I think people were really pushed, especially if they're folks that work behind a desk. They were really pushed to learn how to be virtual, right? And learn how to manage their work in a virtual environment. And I think that really was a huge learning curve for so many different people, depending on their occupation in the company that they might have been working for. And then now I think that the interesting thing that is kind of pushing all of us to really think through our work life is going back to work, right? And being back in a work environment where you're face to face. And I think some companies have decided, moving back into the workplace and 100% again is better. Some people have adopted a hybrid model, and they're sorting that out right now over the last year. Like, this is what I've seen, where people have, they might be going to the office for 2 days and they're staying home for 3 days or something like that. And so it's learning how to, again, kind of manage our time, manage the juggling around, dragging a computer and, trying to figure out how to work. I think that that's been a huge thing over the last couple of years. Like, don't you think that too? Like, people seem still discombobulated around how to do their jobs and in what kind of environment they're going to do their jobs. Are,
Absolutely.
are
We,
you
yeah,
seeing the
we
same
were.
thing?
You mentioned that there's organization, time management. So, what example or what tip would you give to better organize our time or organize our schedules in order to have time to check those emails and really show up in person for our commitments? Do you have any special tip you'd like to share?
I'm right now managing 3 email accounts, and I think I'm actually going to hire a virtual assistant to do some consulting, like within what I'm doing as a portfolio careerist, because I've got a business now, and I've had to hire people. So I'm moving away from being a solopreneur to being more an entrepreneur, where I'm hiring teams of people, and I only hire independent workers. I don't hire employees. So that has its own challenges as well. But I'm planning to hire a virtual assistant who can kind of take a look at everything that we're doing to see if there's any way to streamline our processes and understand how to minimize communication rather than like maybe we might be maximizing no or sorry maximize our communication by minimizing the amount that we're communicating, if that makes sense. Because like, kind of go to the experts who know how to do this, because sometimes I think that we create processes, or we're maybe working in a way that is not effective, but we really don't know, because we don't know what we don't know. And so just hiring some people to come in and take a look and give some suggestions, because I'm not an email management specialist. But there are virtual assistants, like, you were mentioning you have a virtual assistant, and there's virtual assistants who do actually specialize just in that area of maximizing your communication in email and learning how to manage your email in a new way. So sometimes I think it's not a bad idea for independent workers in particular, or even people who are employees, to go to the specialists in the building and say, hey, like, can you give me some tips? Or spend that time on YouTube, where you research some things on YouTube, because there's so many specialists out there now that we can have access to, that can give us tips that can completely change our lives, like our work lives, I think.
I agree. So many new roles popped up because of what's happening on social media. Like, there's social media manager is what they, is a label
Yes.
that I've heard a lot. And also, I mean, creating the website, I think, is a good idea. Is that don't go create your own website, hire someone to create your website for you, develop it and make it
Mm-hmm.
user friendly and all that, things that we may not be thinking
Yeah,
about when we create our own website. So yeah, I totally
exactly.
agree with you. Yeah, on bringing the experts to support you.
Yeah, if you can do that as an independent worker, so you kind of have to figure out where you spend your time and your money and things like that. As somebody who's an employee, often there's the specialist in the building that could give you some tips that could completely transform the way you're doing things in your job. And suddenly, you get rid of some of those barriers in processes that are slowing you down or making you sluggish, or something like that. And there's a lot of great tips for that on LinkedIn, actually, and a lot of free stuff that you can find. So you don't have to necessarily reinvent the wheel or like try to figure it out yourself, but there is definitely having you have to invest a little bit of time into learning, right? Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely. To start with, I mean, a lot of things you can do yourself, but then that means there's that time investment of learning how to do it so that you can implement it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Gail. These were all the questions I had prepared for you today. Is there anything else you would like to add? Perhaps a question I didn't ask you, or one tip to leave the audience with?
Well, you did have in your questions, like you were talking a little bit about career literacy. And so I was just wondering, like how are you seeing career literacy right now with, we're post pandemic and all of that. And I was just kind of wondering about your thoughts on career literacy.
I think of it as an evolving definition for sure, career literacy, because working with young people ages 14 to 25, what they need to know today about careers may change. For example, a portfolio career is very few people know what this is.
Yeah.
So, part of the career literacy is educating the young people that I work with about a portfolio careerist, what that means. When they're trying to explore, they're in high school trying to explore what to do next, they don't need to be stuck with the engineering and lawyer, right? Career pathways. There are so many, as we already talked about, within the IT field that they can specialize in. So
Right.
for me, career literacy is also starts at the basics about educating young people. What does it mean? What does a resume mean? Like, what do you have to include in it? And how has it evolved from when it was just you just put the bullet points and now it's more about your accomplishment? Where did the word cover letter come from? Things like that I feel is important for young people to learn, and many adults don't even know these career terms. And that's why, like, when you chose portfolio careerist, I was like, yes, this is a term we need to educate the audience about.
Yeah, like the career portfolio and then the portfolio careerist. I know it's often mixed up. And whenever I say I have a portfolio career, people think to themselves, they're thinking of it more as a portfolio of work. And like an actual, I'm a graphic designer and I have a portfolio of work to show them. And it's no, that's not what it is. It's actually a portfolio career is a career of multiple income streams. And so those two terms definitely do get confused. Um, that is true. And so, yeah, you're right. Like just bringing some career literacy around the non-traditional workforce. That's what we're actually doing. And I will put a plug in for the Branch Out workshop series that we have going, which is providing funded career support right now to non-traditional workers in Alberta. And so the freelancers, contractors, and consultants can come to our 3-part workshop series, or anybody who is considering becoming a non-traditional worker. So that is the freelancer, contractor, consultant, a portfolio careerist, or a non-traditional worker can also be a worker who's an employee who is working on demand. So that could be somebody from the forestry industry, for example, who is working seasonally or on contract. It could be somebody from, the media industry that has moved from full-time permanent positions to now mostly only offering contract-based work. And so we're training people that either have been forced to become a non-traditional worker through changes within their industry, or we're helping people who have an interest in moving to a non-traditional work lifestyle, like a freelancer, contractor, consultant, or maybe just working on call or casually. And that could be because they are raising a family and that's, they want to create more flexibility in their life. And so that's what we're doing in the Branch Out workshop series, is we're helping support the non-traditional workers in Alberta.
See all the your sentences that you use right now, right? They're loaded with, I think of as career language, and
Yes.
even the word freelancer, right? A lot of people don't know what a freelancer does, especially the young people. And that's what I think of when I'm thinking career literacy. It's really the language that we as career professionals use, and we think, oh,
Yes.
everybody knows, right? And that's really my mission and my vision for raising awareness about career literacy. It's really the language that we use. And your workshop, I really have to promote it as well. I've seen you present at conferences and I know you do a great job. Is there a place for people to go and check out these opportunities?
Yes, so on my website, so that's purposefulcareers.ca, we have the Branch Out Workshop series. There's a page dedicated to that particular project and initiative. And people can just go to the page on the website, and it pretty much explains all three of the workshops there. And then there's links to Eventbrite where you sign up if you're interested, and we sell out really fast right now. So, well, over the last 6 months, we have been piloting the project, and we've been selling out. So I always highly recommend that if you're interested, sign up, register right away, because we fill up pretty quickly. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on your success, Gail. I wish you the best. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. We haven't seen each other for a little while, so it's been a great conversation. Thank you.
That's it for Hoda's Career Info, the program where career professionals from across the globe join me to empower you to succeed. My guest today on Hoda's Career Info was Gail Kastning. You can connect with Gail on her website, purposefulcareers.ca. Gail's career term was Portfolio Careerist. Take the time to pause, re-listen to the definition of Portfolio Careerist, and let us know if you think a portfolio career is for you. Remember that you can listen to Hoda's Career Info since it's also dropped as a podcast. To let me know if you're interested in an opportunity to talk about your work, you can send me a direct message on my website, rightcareerfit.com, where you can also sign up for my newsletter to stay up to date on the latest episodes. Please like, subscribe, share, and follow Hoda's Career Info on social media for more career info. I am your host, Hoda. Until next time, remember that your time is valuable. How are you spending it?